Meriwether never took her eyes off the smoke as the sheer magnitude of it began to block out the sunlight. "It is a devil, plain and true," she said. "My people call them jinn, but I believe humans refer to them as genies." She narrowed her eyes. "This one is known to me. It is an Ifrit, one of the elders." "You two have met?" May asked. The Fairy Queen sighed. "I know the one who dropped it in the mirror," she said. "Her folly invites ruin upon us all." "An Ifrit?" Jack said. "Is that more powerful than other genies?" The Fairy Queen turned her wide eyes on him, making him regret asking. "You might say that," she said. "The younger genies are close to being all-powerful, but are forced by their elders to learn humility through service to lesser beings, usually humans." "Oh, nice," May sniffed. "It's good to know where we stand in the grand scheme of things." "Indeed," Meriwether said. "The elders, the Ifrits, are even more powerful than their young, and controlling them is next to impossible once they are let loose. Fortunately for our world, there have only been two who made their way here during my lifetime. This is the second." "And the first?" Jack asked, watching as the genie's torso filled in completely, the smoke now building arms the size of storm clouds. At the very top, almost too high to see, it looked as if a head might be forming. "The first," Meriwether said with the barest hint of a smile. "It's best that you not know, human. Your kind tends to react badly to their world almost being unmade. Fortunately, one of my fellow Fairy Queens tricked it into trapping itself within a kerosene lamp, then hid the lamp where no one will ever discover it." "Bet someone finds it," May whispered to Jack. Meriwether turned her gaze to the princess, her wide eyes blazing in anger. Before May could see anything, though, Meriwether took a step back in surprise. "You!" the Fairy Queen shouted, her eyes wide. May froze for a second, clearly as surprised as the Fairy Queen. May?" she asked in a small voice. Jack inched between the two, not trusting the eyeless Fairy Queen at all. "You!" Meriwether repeated, still in shock. "I know you! You were not where you were meant to be. I arrived at the appointed time, and you were not there." "What?" May said. Suddenly the fairy in May's hair sat up and waved her hands. Meriwether glanced at her. "Little sister!" the Fairy Queen said in greeting, and the fairy in May's hair began gesturing around, first at Jack, then at May, and back again. Somehow Jack thought he heard her saying words, something about a charmed one. But it must have been his imagination. Then they all jumped as one of the Ifrit's expanding arms knocked the tree over on the other side of the clearing. "Can we talk about this later, whatever it is?" May said quickly. "'Cause, I'd rather not get crushed by Mr. Smoky Pants here." Meriwether shook her head. "You do not act like a princess should," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Clearly your manners have suffered from our missed appointment." "Still, there are more important matters to attend to now. If left unchecked, the Ifrit will surely destroy us all, if not this entire world." "Meriwether," Philip said softly. He gently took her shoulder and turned her back toward the genie. Her eyes the size of small eggs stared down at them, each delving into a shade of black that Jack wouldn't have believed actually existed if he weren't staring at it. It was like he could feel the genie's eyes pulling at him, pulling at his very soul. The face around the eyes resembled some kind of horned mask more than anything else. A mask that covered the front of the smoke head, while the rest of the head seemed to swirl around on its own. It reminded Jack uncomfortably of the witch with the broken eggshell for a face. I shouldn't have put the crown in, should I? May said. It wasn't a question. Merryweather? Philip repeated, taking a few steps back. I know that this creature is powerful, but are you able to fight it? The perfect prince sounded nervous, and Jack wished they weren't all about to die so he could have enjoyed it more. Merryweather looked at Philip, then sighed. I am sorry, Philip. You promised to release me from my service if I healed this creature, she said, pointing at the slumbering wolf. And my debt to your father is paid. Still, the Fairy Queen said, glancing at me. I do all this one. If she wishes it, I could try to defeat the Ifrit, but that would then fulfill any responsibility I have to you as well, Princess. Philip glanced at me, looking for some kind of answer. Despite it being clear that the prince had no idea what was going on, he didn't seem to be following any better, then jumped as if she were surprised to be called on. Oh, right, she said quickly. Yeah, go ahead and save us. That's great. You don't need to help me anymore. Saving our lives from the genie is enough, so thank you. Merryweather smiled. You obviously have no knowledge of what was meant for you, child. Someday, perhaps, I shall teach you. However, if this is your wish, I shall grant it. Now you three must flee while you can. I will make sure you have a chance. Philip nodded, then pulled the other two back toward the wolf. All three grabbed the animal's legs and managed to pull him back a few feet into the dubious safety of the woods, as Merryweather boldly strode forward to stand on the fallen roof. Ifrit! Her voice rang out, startling Jack with its force. What am I kind imprisoned you long ago? And now I am here to send you back to where it came from. Face me, coward! And with that, she grew. Her form grew slightly transparent as if she were also made of smoke, and she spread out more and more until she was the same size as the Ifrit, then solidified back into her normal, opaque body. For its part, the Ifrit didn't seem to care about Merryweather's taunt. Little fairy, it said to her in a completely monotone yet booming voice. You do not know what you are attempting to do. Oh, I do, Merryweather said. I realize that you may destroy me, and if that is my fate, I welcome it. Come now, let us see if the vaunted reputation of the Djinn is well deserved. Oh, what have I done? Philip said, fear filling his eyes as he looked at Jack and May. I did not... I thought she could... She's probably bluffing, Jack said. She wouldn't just throw her life away, no matter what she thought she may. What would be the point? Philip shrugged off Jack's hand and took a step toward the cottage. I do not care. I will not allow her to die for us. No one will die if I could help it. Jack jerked him back toward the woods. That brings up an interesting question, Philip. Namely, how are you supposed to help? You're not gonna do much good by standing there really still, are you? Philip struggled against Jack's grip, but Jack locked his arm around the princess. We have to do something! Philip cried. Jack nodded. That's right, he said, grunting at the effort it took to keep the prince from running off. Whatever else he might be, Philip was strong. We have to run to get away, Jack continued. If not, Merryweather might be sacrificing herself for nothing. We have to get out of here, and now, Philip! Tell him, May! When the princess didn't answer, Jack abruptly released Philip, who fell forward in surprise. May? Jack asked in a small voice. He looked all around the forest path, but the princess was gone. There! Philip shouted from the ground, pointing now toward the clearing. Jack glanced up to see May running as hard as she could, heading straight for the remains of the Red Hood's cottage. A cottage that was going to be the center of the battle between the genie and Philip's fairy godmother.